Well, hello everyone. It is our regular military updates on Black
Hello.
Mountain Talks. I'm Yelena, and this is Mike, and we're going to discuss latest events which happened during past 2 weeks because we're meeting each 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of going on, and maybe we will start with today's video. It would be of energy infrastructure in the Ukraine. There is a massive fire, and according to Ukrainian sources, this thermal power plant was completely destroyed by Russian airstrike. Well, Mike, do you have anything to comment about like state of Ukrainian energy infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
and what's going to happen next? What do you think?
Energy infrastructure in Ukraine is from the Soviet times. So basically, nothing was built recently after Ukraine became the independent country, or maybe just very minor things, but nothing sufficient to power the whole country, of course. And this Soviet legacy stuff is something which is uh, really juicy target for Russian side, especially after Ukraine hit several Russian refineries. So it's basically some kind of revenge for that. Russia was careful when to attack because the heating season is almost over, so it will not affect heating of the general population, but it will definitely affect the situation in the power supply, especially in the Kiev region. I think Kiev and Zhytomyr regions are affected with this one. So situation is getting worse. Those targets. Russia can engage them almost as they wish, in anytime they want, and destruction of the power plant. They don't need to level the plant itself, but what they can do, they can, for instance, hit the boilers, or they can hit the control room, and there is simply no way that Ukraine can fix anything in any feasible time, simply because that equipment is equipment which was installed by the Soviet engineers, designed by the Soviet engineers, and nobody else is producing that equipment except Russia and maybe some other republics. So. If Russia really want, they can shut down complete Ukrainian energy grid, electrical grid, in 24 hours. So it's not a really big deal of them. So far, they were very careful with that, hitting only very specific and designated targets. But since Ukraine is bragging about attacking the Russian refineries deep in the Russian rear, factories, etc. So this is one of the responses, and I'm expecting that it's going to get worse because now, if when Ukraine gets some new stuff from the West, let's say advanced ballistic missiles with a bigger range, they're going to try to target deeper into Russian rear, and also they will send the drones. And of course, Russia is simply going to retaliate and level those critical infrastructure enterprises. This will affect the defense sector in Ukraine because they need energy, they need power. This will, unfortunately, it will affect also civilian population, but not on the same scale that it was, for instance, last October or November. So heating season is over. Kiev will probably be in the very big restrictions. So the West will try to channel some electrical power from the West, but Russia needs to hit those distribution nodes, transformers, and basically energy in Ukraine will be over. There is no chance that Ukraine can repair this anytime soon. When I said this. It will take many months, or even many years to get back these things again. So this is a serious blow to Ukrainian infrastructure, to Ukrainian capacities to wage the war, to repair the equipment, to repair the supply power to the maintenance facilities, and also on a certain degree, it's a pressure on the civilian population. Ukrainians, they can use generators, portable generators, stove generators on trucks, but that stuff will simply it can't replace what was hit with this power plant. And there are several of those that kind of power plants in Ukraine, and I'm expecting that Russia is going to hit them sooner or later. So this is escalation, and one side basically started attacking that kind of locations deep in Russia. So Russia simply retaliate with this one, and this is the trend that is going to continue.
And what is also interesting, as far as I know, that Ukraine they were exporting electricity like sometime before, but now they are turning, as far as I understand, they are turning from exporter to importer.
Yes,
So
yeah, and of course they will get that for free, and somebody in the Western countries are going to pay for that. But the import of electricity depends on the transformers. To speak a very simplified way. So those high voltage transformers, 750 kilowatts, so kilovolts. What that means is simply that if Russia eliminate all those transformers, Ukraine can be basically in dark. And this is one of the things that I'm expecting that it will be hit in the very, very near future.
Yeah, and what is
beside those power plants.
And what is also interesting about like energy sector of the Ukraine, I don't understand why are they still shelling Zaporozhye nuclear power plant? Do they understand what they are doing, or
yes, they understand it. This is a deliberate provocation. So they will try to hit the building, and also auxiliary stuff. Let's say steam generators, gas generators. So they will try to disable that stuff, not directly to hit the spent fuel storages or to hit reactors. Those reactors are not online anymore. Russia shut down them, but also there is that primary circle which is highly radioactive, and if Ukraine managed to hit that kind of target, it will be catastrophe not only for the region, but it will be catastrophe for Central Europe, because the winds predominantly blowing from southeast to the northwest. So the almost whole Ukraine, Western Ukraine, is going to get covered with the radioactive clouds. And part of Poland, Germany, Slovakia, Hungary. So it will be really, really bad if that happened. Ukraine for now is using drones. Those drones, they can penetrate through the concrete roofs of those reactors. But if they use some ballistic missiles or cruise missiles, in that case they can definitely do that. Russia put some means of air defense around, and in majority cases they are shutting down attackers. But the problem is that Zaporozhye nuclear power plant is just across the river from the first Ukrainian line. So technically they can do any kind of damage if they just put, for instance, multiple rocket launchers to fire one salvo or one volley on the plant, or artillery battery, or several ballistic missiles. For now, probably they will just do attacks with the drones, because Russia can retaliate. Russia can hit other nuclear power plants in the Western Ukraine. So that will be really, really game over for Ukraine, completely game over. So that will be a wasteland country in the next thousand years. Hopefully that will not happen, because there are simply those who are selecting targets. They're still reasonable. If we ask, for instance, some of those warmongers in the U.S., they will to approve the target. They will definitely hit all of those nuclear power plants, because they don't care about Ukraine, they don't care about Russia, they don't care about Europe. Simply those warmongers will do anything to please themselves. to be more precise. For now, I don't expect that, in particular, nuclear power plants will be hit or destroyed. But let's say some of auxiliary stuffs, electrical grid may get really, really serious damage. With that, transformers, those high voltage transformers, uh, may be damaged or destroyed, and they are very hard to replace, because to produce them, even Siemens, for instance, in Germany, they need several months, or maybe even a year to get just one transformer to ship to Ukraine. And as soon as the transformer is online, it will be hit again. So it is very, very grim prediction to Ukrainian power grid. But time will tell. I think that this first thing is to hitting this power plant in Kiev was the serious warning to Ukraine. Russia first hit hydropower dam and plant, so that was the let's say initial one. This is the serious one. This Kiev thermal power plant is the very, very serious warning, and we'll see. It's hard to predict.
Yeah, but here in minding all those attacks on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, because I'm concerned, because I'm in Europe, and I know that when Chernobyl catastrophe happened, all the wind took that radiative cloud to Norway and to Sweden. So
Yeah, Norway, Sweden, but also the Central Europe, even Balkans were affected with that. I remember I was at that time I was in the army, and what happened suddenly. We were outside. It's very, very nice spring day. We were outside, and officer came and said, "Get out, everyone, as soon as possible." They didn't explain what happened, but why should anybody? I think it was Sunday. We had a day off, so they simply kicked us in the building just to be outside for some reasons. Then later, after maybe a few days or week, we heard that something serious happened in Chernobyl. So if that stuff happened, it's not about Ukraine anymore. It's simply about the whole Europe.
yeah, and I remember also my history teacher told me that, not me, but all the class, we were discussing that Chernobyl catastrophe, and she told that in the USSR people didn't know what happened. And it was everyone knew, like when it was impossible to hide anymore.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
Europe
That's true.
started to raise the alarm, but her husband, he was, I think, on duty, and he called her and said to take children inside and not to go outside, because he
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
what was happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way how Soviet Union functions. So everything was a little bit obstructed, hidden. Not little bit. A lot of things were simply hidden. So they tried not to disclose anything to the domestic public. But back in Europe, it was clear. It was simply clear that something really, really bad happened there. Hopefully, it will not happen with Zaporozhye
Yeah,
MPP, but who knows?
yeah,
It,
but
it what is only it is critical that if some lunatic with the power to push the button to launch the missiles or to fire the rockets, it can change everything.
yeah, because what I understood from all the information I've read, that reactor itself, it's of course
It's
it's
cold,
stopped.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
cold because there is no
it's
chain reaction anymore. But the problem with reactors, there is a residue radiation material there.
yeah,
That
they have a
primary.
very big storage there. I
Yeah,
know that.
there is also nuclear waste storages.
Mhm.
They should be in the concrete heavy bunkers to say, but it's enough one of the missiles to penetrate that bunker so that cloud will be released or
Mhm.
material will be released outside. Look, what I think it's happened in Khmelnytsky or some of those bases when Ukrainians they got radioactive munition for tanks.
Mhm.
Russia blew that to pieces, so that radioactive cloud from the destroyed shells was blown to Europe. It is something which nobody really taking seriously in the West, because they don't want that to be known, but that is the fact. Level of radiation jumped
Mm.
just because several thousand of shells that exploded. Imagine
Yeah,
what
yeah, I remember it was like on a rumor level, but those rumors
it's
were
not.
very loud.
It's not rumor. It's true. It's true. radioactive shells were blown. The clouds formed, and they were blown to the Western Europe.
Yeah, and we
So
tried
Poland, yeah,
to.
so Poland got their dose of radiation. Germany too. I think Slovakia also got something, but they will never tell that to their people,
That's
because
for sure.
they need to have a support for Ukraine. So, and Russia know exactly when that munition will be coming, where it will be stored. So as soon as they unload the trains in those warehouses, ballistic missiles hit them, and everything was blown to pieces.
And what am I thinking about here is who is in charge in Kiev now? Is it MI6 or is it CIA or
It
is
is
it a
combination.
mixture?
Yeah, MI6 and the CIA. They're the rulers of Ukraine. So Zelensky is just a public figure for that. Ukraine, Sirski, yeah, he's in charge with the military, but he's dealing with foreign advisors, and those foreign advisors are high-ranking officers. There are several generals, British, American. I believe there is also Canadian. I don't have really
Mm.
deep information about that, but there are foreigners: French, Italian, uh, British, American. So they're there.
Yeah,
And
but
who is in charge? Foreigners, yeah, because otherwise, if Zelensky is really in charge in Ukraine, they will try really to do something like it was in I think it was in March 2022 with
mhm.
Istanbul negotiations. But now, no, it's over. There is no negotiation anymore. So either one side will be completely destroyed, or another one. So peace deal, some kind of agreement. No, it's over. It's over.
Yeah, because Switzerland now is trying to arrange some kind of peace summit
Yeah,
with,
with what? Peace summit without Russia. It's what
and
is
they
the what?
say as if they want to invite Russia, but Russia said clearly that we are not going there.
No, no, because Russia, they had it at the beginning. They offered it in the beginning, and it was signed. But then that lunatic from UK came, and he didn't act alone, because he acted on behalf of somebody
That's yeah,
over the ocean. So that was the problem. After that, it will be war until one side is annihilated. So Ukraine will never be the same country as it was in 1991. It's over. Now the
yeah,
question is, what will be? Is Ukraine going to be a landlocked country, or it will be, let's say, colony, or partitioned? So time will tell, simply.
yeah. And here is like what my favorite Jens Stoltenberg said
Yeah,
yesterday during his press conference with Alexander Stubb. Well, Finland joining NATO is something, I think it's the silliest things that Finnish government has ever done.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but here
yeah.
what he said that Ukraine has a like a right to self-defense, and it includes striking deep into Russian rear. So I don't know what he's trying to achieve here. Is he trying
He's
to?
delusional. He's one lunatic, delusional bureaucrat, lunatic. He's disconnected from the reality. Ukraine, as an independent country, of course, they had a choice. That choice was they dumped the choice in 2014 with that coup. So, and who supported that? It was that plan to turn Ukraine against Russia was something that was not. They didn't come in power overnight. It was planned since 1950s. So it
Yeah,
was breed. That plan was breed, and those who planned that stuff, they're not doing a year, month after month. They're doing that for years, for decades, to do that. So this, yeah, Jens is, I don't know, he's smart on one way, but the stuff that he is talking simply is delusional. And
yeah,
every NATO secretary, whoever come, will be the same, maybe even worse. It is the description of job, simply description of job. They, of course, they're dealing with intelligence information, but bear in mind this: the raw intelligence information that coming to the certain services, they are filtrated, they are washed, so that those who present information to politicians present them what they want to what politicians want to hear. So raw information that the pure military analyst and intelligence analyst that they're doing, Those informations are not reflected in reports that they're getting in those offices on the high level. That is how things really works. And when you read some of those British intelligence reports, it's, I don't know, it's like it's written from the F department of some psychiatric clinics, simply.
Yeah, because what's interesting for me here, does he really think that if Ukraine starts hitting like targets deep inside Russian rear with in case like West
Mhm.
supplies them with
Yeah.
missiles, what will happen to Ukraine?
They
It
don't
will be
care. They don't care. They want actually Ukraine to hit so that Russia can annihilate half of Ukraine, uh, put them in the Stone Age. They want that because Ukraine, they don't care about Ukraine or ordinary Ukrainians. All they care is how to kill more, about the numbers of killed on two sides. So that is the whole point. The West does not care. Canada does not care. US does not care. Doesn't care. Simply, they achieved the glorious success in NATO is to turn brother against brother, two Slavic brothers to kill each other for the sake of interest of the Western powers. This is something that they experimented in Yugoslavia, and it worked. It worked perfectly. So now they,
Mhm.
they think that they're going to achieve that on a much larger scale. The issue is the West simply does not care about Ukrainians. They will get with the refugees. They will get cheap labor. But most important, the Western military industrial complex is in the full gear because they created jobs. Because they can't do anything else. All other jobs they already ship to China or overseas. Uh, so the only big economy now is this defense economy, defense jobs. And just look what the U.S. Congress people are talking about. They don't care. They simply don't care about Ukraine. Ukrainian lives for them means nothing. Russian lives means nothing. Chinese lives mean nothing. All they think about is how much money they're going to put in their bank accounts. This is the most corrupted political institution in the world.
But what I think that they lack strategic possibilities of planning. They are thinking like in tactical level. So what will happen like overnight? They think about that, but they don't think of what's going to happen the next month.
I, I
It
believe
looks like
some
that
of
for me.
I believe that some of their strategists and politicians they're thinking about that, but those loudmouth like Stoltenberg or Trudeau or some of those lunatics, what they simply talking is empty stories. It's their job to do as a politicians to talk nonsenses. Um, Ultimate goal is to defeat Russia. That goal didn't work as planned. So now they are trying to prolong this stuff. They are now ready to sacrifice Ukraine. They are ready to sacrifice Moldova. They will be ready to sacrifice Taiwan for the sake of benefit of several heads of the countries or multinational corporations. That is the whole point. Nobody care about that small guy. Nobody care about Ukrainian soldier, Russian soldier, Chinese soldier, or whatever. All they care is about their bank accounts, how much money they can do. They can fit in their pockets.
Yeah, and what I had in mind, maybe they really want Russia to destroy Ukraine to that extent that NATO can say we've done all we could. We couldn't help it, so sorry guys, we're leaving. Maybe they are trying to get out of
Yeah, they have one stream. Actually, they have several stream. One is warhawks, warmongers that want to. They have loud mouthpieces like Kaya Kalas from banana republics or whatever those the Chihuahua countries. Not offense to the country, but when I said that, I'm thinking about the particular governments. So yeah, there is also stream in NATO which is not exposed. That they simply want to finish this stuff. They realize those guys in that stream. They realize that everything is lost regarding to Ukraine. Russia is not going to back until Ukraine is leveled. So it is a hidden fight between those streams. inside the NATO, and they're everything but united. Those politicians, they're trying to brainwash people with their speeches. They they want to appear that they're united, but it's different. It's really really different when you look at in the background.
Yeah, and here is like another general speaking who is saying, yeah, that he said on Congress on Wednesday that Ukraine will soon like run out of artillery shells.
Yeah, they want money. They want shells.
What? Yeah,
They want money. This the job of these guys are to be propagandists, just to talk nonsenses, to talk about. Their job is to please the military-industrial sector. That is the only role that they have. These guys are corrupted. They're talking about all of that stuff, shells, munition, whatever. The problem is that the West doesn't have that amount of shells. Money is not going to make those shells because production capacity is low. What is now the problem with them? Even if they send that money, let's say, money will not come to Ukraine. Money will get to the private sector, but the private sector doesn't have capacity. So either they're going now to try to bribe the purchasing, let's say, to South Korea, to India, to get some shells, but those shells will never reach on time, even if they approve stuff today. This is one big political scam, big political game, because I believe that U.S. One of those streams that want to get out of the conflict is now prevailing. So they want to isolate U.S. from the conflict, put a hot potato to Europeans, and in Europeans. No matter how they look united, they're basically disunited. So Europeans are going to create some funds, trust for money, but money is not something that is going to feed the cannon. Cannon need a steel to be fired. Even if they have to build the capacities to produce the shells. When they build that capacities to produce shells, Ukraine will be probably just around Lviv. So that is all that is going to stay for of current Ukraine. So this is one big political scam, probably the biggest scams in history ongoing.
yeah, because if there was like some united point of view, I could have understood what is happening. But here, like every day, there are absolutely controversial statements from like top-ranking Western military, and it's like, is Russia losing and is Russia winning? And it's all happening like at the same time. So Russia
Yeah,
winning, but Russia's losing. It looks
yeah.
like this.
Yeah, Russia is running out of ammunition, but suddenly Russia is creating offensive, and Russia will attack
Yeah,
Europe. It's ridiculous. It's simply, you see how confusion is taking toll on them. Bottom line, U.S. is trying to wash their hands. They came, they make a mess, then they leave. Who is going to try to deal with the mess? Europeans. Europeans are so united that if they have opportunity, they're going to grab to each other throats. It is since the medieval times.
yeah,
Uh, Europe lost production capabilities because everything was sold. European business people, they sold their production capacities to other countries. And once when they lose the production capacity, the game is basically over. The other side, they sold it to the countries that they simply doesn't want to play according to the music that the EU is playing. Bottom line, Europe, no matter how strong economically they look, it is just a service economy. Production economy is let's say let's say it's some European like a Mercedes or BMW factories. Yeah, they're producing cars, but how many of those parts for those cars are made in Europe? Majority of the parts come from all over the world. So the production is in China.
yeah,
Russia has production because Russia preserved and rebuilt their factories from the Soviet times. That is the point. The war is waged by economy, by resources. There are not too many resources in Europe. Resources in Europe are banks.
yeah.
And just banks are simply one big scam in money laundering. And this stuff is not something that is going to finish overnight. It will take a years when the EU collapse, but uh, they're going to that way. It is just it is like a cart that going downhill and the brakes are giving up. Simple as that.
Yeah, and what is very interesting, I remember like in Russia, some people are saying that everything got destroyed, we have no production, but suddenly it turns out that Russia has plants
Yeah,
and Russia
exactly.
can
Because
produce things, and even like microelectronics, maybe not as complicated as Taiwan can produce, but they still have capacity to produce something, and
they
they,
have capacity to produce something that will serve the purpose.
yeah,
We all have cell phones. Remember that, for instance, electronic in this cell phone is much more complicated than, for instance, which is used in the missiles. But Russia, they're talking about chips from washers or dryers or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, but if somebody, think about this, if somebody was able to take a chip and reprogram that chip, repropose that chip to use in the weapons, well, I will head down to those guys.
yeah, sure. And
No,
by the way,
they can Russia is self-sufficient on the great scale because they can provide the stuff which is needed for their purposes. They're not going to make the PCs that or processor that they're going to export all over the world. There is no point for that. But if somebody in Russian production or Russian line, Russian designers, if somebody can take, for instance, chip from the iPhone and repurpose that chip to be used in the cruise missile, that is engineering. That is the skill.
yeah,
Everybody can put several billions to research. For instance, in the West was one of those big companies. When I said everybody, I thought about them, not the ordinary people, of course. So those big companies, they can put the billions to research chips, do whatever they want, and just to make a one chip that will use for the sole purpose. But the ingenuity is in those who can reuse the chip and repurpose to something else.
yeah.
Yeah, that is
That's
something that need to be taken into consideration.
And by the way, there's quite interesting news. It's also I don't remember what media published it. I think it was Wall Street Journal, and they were saying that American drones failed to turn the tide in the Ukraine. So it turned out that Pentagon, I think they were testing drones by
Exactly.
subcontractors who were and those drones were supposed to be a game changer or something like that, or wonder weapon, but
Yeah, the one of many.
it
Well,
it didn't work.
yeah, Ukraine is a test bed, test ground for the military equipment, and of course they're going to put this stuff. From time to time, some of their drones or equipment will fell to the Russian hands undamaged. So Russians are going to take that, dissect it, analyze, reprogram it, whatever, take ideas and rebuild their own stuff. Ukrainians, see, now I see on Ukrainian side, I see that they're doing, let's say they're copying Lancet drones. So yeah, it's Slavic ingenuity. So they repurpose it, they copy, they redesign it, and they start to use it. So there is no a lot of money dumping into the research. They're simply copying something that is working. I don't have any objections regarding to that. The problem in the West is that here we will spend the billions of developing something that may work or may not work. In most cases, it will not work because it was designed for something which was not predicted to work in every single circumstance. So, for instance, all of those expensive tanks, yeah, they're perfect when supplies, maintenance, everything working like a clock. But once when it comes to the muddy fields in Ukraine, and there is no supplies or limited supplies, there is problems with the spare parts. It starts to fail.
And by the way, what I wanted to show, I have my Telegram open and I read through the news. And this one was published by RBK News. This is how new Moskvich 8 is going to look like.
Yeah, I
It's
would love
about
one of these.
it's about like technologically backward Russia, but I think this car looks really nice.
Yeah,
So
well, I would like to have one.
Yeah, I also like it. It's
Here in Canada, I saw a couple of Lada Nivas. And what is the good thing with with that? A lot of people on the maritime promises, where the roads are bad, climatic conditions are bad, they're actually buying that car because they're cheap, they're easy to repair even in garage. So simplicity. They are not attractive by look or in interior like Western or Japanese made cars. But it served purpose for people on the farms or remote communities. So why not? If I would like to have something like that, the old Soviet style, or gas, like a terrain vehicle. But just looking at this Moskvich, yeah, it doesn't fell back behind the most modern and most beautiful Western SUVs.
yeah. And by the way, I have one guy in neighborhood. He has Zhiguli.
Yeah.
I think
Oh yeah,
Zhiguli of
it
this
was a very
model.
expensive car in the Soviet Union.
Yeah, and it is still running and like
Yeah,
perfectly
yeah. Why
okay.
not? I mean, it's built with a safety factor much higher than which is in the West. So oversized engine parts, but it's working. It's not
Yeah,
really aesthetically pleased for everyone, but hey, it's serving the purpose.
yeah. And going to Scandinavian issues, there is another like news from Finland. The news, it was on the news. TASS reported it that Iltalehti newspaper reported that new NATO military base will be located in town of Mikkeli, which is 140 kilometers from Russian border.
Yeah, so no, why not? I mean, Russia doesn't have um any issues with Finland anymore. Whatever
Yeah,
was the issue, it was solved 1940 first, then in 1944. So there will be warmongers in Finland. They want Karelia back or some of those territories for the north. That is just for the sake of propaganda, because every country will have some of those lunatics. They trying to do some revisions. Who cares? Russia doesn't have issues with Finland. NATO can put a base there. Just one Iskander will be enough to, in the case of war, to solve that. So this is completely different story than in Ukraine. Ukraine is it can be comparable with Finland or Sweden or something like that. There is no way that it can be compared, because in Ukraine, Russian population is the Russian speaking population is more than half.
yeah,
So that is the real issue. Uh, Again, Russia doesn't have any territorial pretensions on Finland. Some in Finland would like to have Karelia back. This is that story was finished long time ago.
yeah,
And NATO, if they have money, yeah, why not? Let them spend money. They have nothing else to do than to build a basis. It's good for the local economy. They will have a local suppliers, local brothels. They will have everything that can serve their troops on the full scale. And
yeah.
Finland, from the neutrality, and Sweden, because lunatic governments, they put themselves on the target list.
But here, what I'm thinking about NATO, I think couple of weeks ago, I think it was Jens Stoltenberg again who
Right.
said that NATO is that united as never before, but it
Oh, yeah.
doesn't look like that at all.
No,
So who
it's
is
just a
trying to
story.
convince of their unity?
As it's just a story. Deep in NATO, there is a big disagreement, and if in the case of crisis, they will grab each other's throats. They just look like united because they have Russia is a main enemy. But you know what? Hitler also was um, allied to all of those countries around. Napoleon had all of those vassal countries around during invasion. History is repeating, and they never learned they learned the history. I watched an interview of retired French general. I don't know. The only thing that I see how that guy can talk that kind of nonsense is about Russian fear of France. It's probably he skipped the lessons regarding to Napoleon, or he simply slept on those lessons. So,
But is somebody really afraid of France? Because French troops were even kicked out by Nigerian new government. So
France
even
is just
Nigeria isn't afraid of France anymore.
they can put maybe two divisions, maybe 20 to 30,000 combat troops, but they will need about 20,000 just to secure Olympics this year. Also, yeah, no offense to the French military, but the best French unit is actually French Foreign Legion. And in French Foreign Legion, out of 8,000, 8,500 people, 2,000 are Russians, and the rest are other Slavs. So, plus of course some from South America and Africa or Far East. But the best troops are not even French. The same is in UK. The best troops are not Brits. It's a Gurkhas, best combat troops and best and the most loyal troops. So, yeah, all of those big European mouths talking about tradition and that stuff. Yeah, they have everything, but French army will be enough to secure the Paris Olympics. British Army can fit on the Wembley Stadium, and the biggest concern is now they see that Russian army is combat experienced army. Russian Air Force is combat experienced Air Force. One thing is to bomb other countries with an inferior air defense, with overwhelming power, like they've done in Libya, Yugoslavia, all over the world. But to fight a peer opponent, they simply don't have a chance. All of those loud mouthpieces in the media are simply the ones who are getting paid for the media to talk their stuff.
Yeah, and I have also like read opinions. People are writing, well, NATO is planning to bomb Moscow and so on. But I say, well, okay, they can plan anything. It's their job to plan. But the thing is,
this is something military headquarters planning of staff officer they're doing. They're planning. That is their job to plan. They will not have one plan. They will have 50 plans, 100 plans from different circumstances. But every plan lives until the first shots are fired.
Yeah.
This is since the medieval times.
Yeah, and I think some people, like in the West, they are stuck in 80s or not even in the 80s, but even in the 90s when Russia was very weak and couldn't respond, because now they are speaking about, oh, NATO is going to bomb Russia. I said, but Russia has Poseidon missiles. They even don't have to launch it by air. They can simply wash away Britain and wash away all the West Coast. And end of story.
Russia is rising again from the destruction of in the 1990s. And you're right. I agree with you that a lot of Western politicians think that Russia is still in 90s, but now it's a multipolar world, led by Russia, China, India is there, BRICS is there. G7 is just a economy. G7 is just a money laundering. The real production, the real economy is in the BRICS countries. So talking about war, attacking on Russia, those countries that plan to attack, just look what's happening in the inside of them. They first need to clean their own backyards and clean their houses. France is infected from the bed bugs, rats, and immigrants are coming, and those guys that are coming, they will not adapt to the French way of life, because the French way of life now they're trying to talk about LGBTQF or whatever those abbreviations are. People that coming from the immigrants, they will never accept that stuff. They have their religion and they respect their religion. Britain is the same. Germany is the same. There is a potential powder keg inside of those countries. Those immigrants, it's not about several thousands of them. All of the majority of them are military age men.
Yeah.
So there is a 20, 30, 40 brigades that can be that just need a spark to start something inside. Also, the French population or German or Polish population, farmers, they're objecting with the economical measures of the EU. So Europe is eating themselves. Europe is sick of arthritis. The European body is eating itself. And Printing of money can solve that because they lost production capacity. Now they're trying to hit the food production capacity. When this is done, Europe is gone. Europe will be just a third world country.
Yeah, because as far as I remember, recently, I don't remember was it accepted or not, but I think Euro Commission, they introduced sanctions, not sanction, but restriction on Russian grain, and they I think there was some trading barrier, not like physical one, but fiscal, and
Yeah,
they have imposed the highest possible rate of per 1 ton of grain. And what are they trying to achieve here? Are they trying to like make local farmers go bankrupt?
No, it's a WEF. That's his world mafia. They decided to destroy countries, so to create like a world government, so that national governments are simply going to disappear. But that may happen in Europe. Of course, in Europe there are a few governments, like let's say Serbian government is trying to resist, Hungarian government, now Slovak government. People slowly but steady getting back, and the other countries, farmers, they see where all of this stuff is going on. But again, Europe, they lost production. Production is in China. Production is in the resources are in Russia as well. There's other countries, so they call it global south. It's rising. Europe is just a service economy. Canada is service economy. We're talking here about construction and all of that stuff, but in the States is even worse. How many products you can buy in the States that will have a made in USA sticker? They're using proudly made in USA. So countries that produce everything in 60s, 70s, 80s produce now nothing. Produce LGBTQF whatever.
Yes, that's. I think
that is the biggest problem. Service economy is not something that in printing money is not something that it is going to help. Production, resources, and production. That is the future of everything. I'm not economist. I'm a military guy, but without you can't make you can actually buy weapons with money. You can develop that, but if you lose production, to put that on the large scale, that is the biggest problem. Russia now rapidly is going up. Russia has the resources. Russia has human capacities to do the stuff. China has that even more. So look what's happening with the shells. Russia can produce 10 shells. The West can do one. Combined West can do one. So quantity is quality on itself.
And what is also interesting to me, Europe oppressed China back in 19th century and earlier. They did the same thing to India, and now they expect those countries to be loyal. Do they think that really those people there don't have any historical memory or what?
Yeah, that's actually it's continuation of the stuff that I said. Yeah, the people from the East. They're tolerant,
but they have a very long memory.
But they have long memory, and sooner or later, don't simply step on their toe, because if they step on their toe, something is going to hit the head. That is the biggest issue. Europe is losing supremacy. US is losing supremacy. US in 1960s, 70s, or Canada is 1960s, 70s, 80s. It can't simply. I spoke with the people who were born here. They can't recognize country anymore. That is the biggest problem. So yeah, the East is rising and the West is declining. Bottom line.
Yeah. And I had also one question. I will let the video to stay now. It is like I will leave without sound because there are subtitles, and it is like a Central Investigation Committee, and they say that there was a trial, and on the basis of acquired data, they found relation of Burisma company to the terror acts in Russia and in Russia and in other places too.
Yeah, I believe that they have a proofs, and follow the money. If you follow the money, you will get to the source. who has money, who is those who finance all of that stuff, those idiots, that criminals, terrorists, they kill all of those innocent people. They're just the tip of the iceberg. I believe that I spoke about that last time. Investigation is just going now backward. They're following the money, they're following traces. So Burisma, CIA, MI6, they're the one who are, and once when everything is ready, Russia is not in rush to hit all of them. Russia is going to wait until everything is ready, present their evidences. Of course, in the West they will say, no, it's not true, it's lying, it's Russian propaganda. But you will see that what is going to happen in the field. Well, it's they said that Russia extracted information by torturing. Of course, because they need to get information within 24 hours. Absolutely. Those guys are nothing. They're just the tip of the iceberg. Now, when they start to unroll that bundle, following the money and all of those traces, it's a much bigger players are behind. The same was, let's say, with the attempt to kill Dugin, when they killed his daughter, and also how they bribed the Russian pilot to escape. They killed two of his crews, but revenge is coming. That pilot was hit and roll over. That killer of Dasha Dugina was killed. Also, the same is going to happen with those guys who were involved. And Russia knows everything. They will present everything to the international organizations to keep that legality, to say. But time will tell how they're going to react. But I'm 100% sure that those responsible, they will pay the price.
That is for sure.
Yeah. Was that Budenov, Zelensky, Boris Johnson, whoever is Burisma company? It's going much deeper that is on the surface. And bear in mind, when Russia presented this information, they have this is maybe 1,000th of the whole amount information they have. So they're building the case now. They're building the case that they're going to present to the international community, both in the West, both in the East. And once when they said, okay, here is the story, then they will react. And mouse hole will not be enough to hide to hide those who are responsible.
And what is also interesting, Russia now started, I cannot call it a campaign, but they are declassifying documents which are relevant to Great Patriotic War. And today, another portion of document was declassified by FSB, and they say, and they are telling about slaughter of 1,000 of inhabitants of Smolensk by Nazi criminals. So is it a sign to the West that, guys, you must stop, because we will hold another trial? You are trying to whitewash the Nazis, but it wouldn't work anymore, and rewriting of history will not work too.
Well, see, history is repeating itself from, let's say, Swedish King Karl, Battle of Poltava, invasion of Russia, the Battle of Poltava, then Napoleon, then World War I, Bolshevik Revolution, Hitler. So there is always coalition, and Russia is patient. That Slavic patience, and they simply put a wait. Warn the people, warn once, twice, 10 times, but on the end, it is going to, it will be escalation, and that escalation is going to hit somebody very hard. See, those World War II archives, it happened 80 years ago, and there's still many classified stuff, but Russia sending the story. Many people will understand what is behind. But warmongers will never understand, because they don't care. Warmongers are not idiots. They're intelligent people, but they're intelligent on that evil way, to get their goals on somebody else's body, somebody else's lives. That is the biggest issue. That's the reason why they have the greatest success that they made is turn Ukrainians against Russians, so they kill each other for the benefits of the warmongers. But one day it's going to stop. Is it going to be this summer or next summer, or the summer after next summer? Who knows? Time will tell. But as history is repeating, the ends of those campaigns will be pretty much the same. Like it was 1812 or 1814 or 1945 or 1817 or 6 or 9. So yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know, well, I remember that since 2014, when all the events started, when like Donetsk and Lugansk people republics were announced, Russia keeps record of all the shellings, and everyone was making fun. Why Russians are like making notes and activating criminal
Yeah.
cases on each shelling attempt or each
Yeah,
shelling
yeah.
occasion. But it will be used, I think, in the
It will be
trial.
used one day. Not today, not tomorrow, not in a year or two, but it will come one day.
And occasionally I come across news when like TASS publishes that some people got 25, 20 years of imprisonment. So they don't go unpunished. Of course, these are of prohibited Azov battalion members or another neo-Nazi. But I think higher rank people who are also responsible for that, the time will come for them to answer
Yeah,
too.
those who finance the stuff. You
Yeah,
know,
and here is,
Azov and all those terrorists, they're just expendables. But
yeah.
the problem is with those who finance that. So uh, the expendables can be found everywhere. There are lunatics everywhere they can join. But those who finance the stuff, they are the one that will Russia be after, uh, with really really hard on the really really hard way.
And here is another like example. I didn't want to bring out pictures of yesterday, which I saw on RIA News when there was a body of mercenary discovered who had equipment, like video equipment with him, and there was even child porn on those.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
It looked terrible. I didn't want to bring it up here.
yeah.
But here is the occasion also. The film crew of state television of VGTRK Lugansk, they went under fire, and here it is said in the news, TASS reported it, that Ukrainian armed forces, they knew that these were journalists, and they shelled them on purpose and even
Yeah,
tried to
yeah,
finish
yeah,
them with a drone.
yeah, yeah. It's the way how they operate. There there are people who are simply evil by nature. So the biggest problem is when those people take control. When they take control, then it's a big mess because many innocent people will perish on both sides because of them.
Yeah, because also Russia also suffers from, of course, in military losses, according to like
Yeah,
war journalist Marat Khairulin, are like in compare. They even cannot be compared to the scale that Ukraine has.
yeah, yeah.
Of
That's
course, there are occasionally one or two people. Of course, they are perished, and that's
it is a special military operation, but it's war. People fighting,
yeah,
and it's a large scale. Now the question is Russia going to officially and legally upgrade special military operation to anti-terrorist operation? Because when you mentioned Burisma and that stuff, now it's a financier of the terror attack. So that
yeah.
will be if it's upgraded to anti-terror operation. It means that much more resources will be poured into that operation.
Yeah.
So that will be one level above. Special military operation is the lowest level that Russia actually doing a military engagement.
Yeah, because no, I think nobody wants like to take it out to the real war level, even the like local war. It would be
Yeah,
a catastrophe in Europe.
yeah, yeah. But we'll see. I mean, Russia is also not sitting idle, and they're planning. All of those steps are planned ahead. But
Yeah,
Russia at least was transparent, telling, okay, don't do this, don't do that. This is something that we can't tolerate. So now that's the reason why the special military operation started. Minsk 1 and 2 were signed. Everything was fine. Just need to be implemented. But they did that stuff didn't work for the warmongers. So that's the reason why they changed establishment in Ukraine, one or another way, and that's the way how the peace deal is simply. I don't see a possibility of any peace deal with the current Ukrainian leadership.
Yeah, because it's legally prohibited for Zelensky.
Prohibited, yeah. So they need to change the constitution, and when his party is in power, they will not do that. So that means only one thing: in continuation. And Russia has a time. Russia has the capacities. Russia has a time. Ukraine doesn't have time. The West doesn't have time because the West will do something impulsive. Then
Yeah.
it will not plan for the. It will not have a reserves. They're planning in advance, but they will not have reserves to implement that plan.
And like Russian military expert Oleg Shalandin yesterday characterized Jens Stoltenberg's speech, that he says that it is an agony already.
Yeah, it is
So,
something. It is you can see uncontrollable stuff. Psychologists will do that, analyze the movement, voice, and all of that stuff. But on both sides, let's say that
yeah.
on both sides they will do that. But politicians are soundly getting disconnected from the reality. With purpose, with some, what is behind? Who want to do that? Again, there is a multiple streams. There is a black and white stream in NATO, black and white stream in US. I'm just talking about for the sake of different streams. But bottom line, there is a fight inside of those organizations.
Yeah.
And which side is going to prevail? Time will tell.
Yeah, hopefully the peaceful one, but I don't think that's.
I hope for peace, but I don't think that peace will come. It is going to get worse.
I think it could be like Minsk ended. So they come to some kind of ceasefire, and which both sides will just use for
yes that kind of
refreshments and
yeah
going.
that kind maybe simply take Malorossiya or Novorossiya to be territories, traditional territories. Ukraine may become the landlocked country, buffer zone maybe on the west, or simply Poland will take what they claim it's historically belonged to Poland. Hungary, Romania, they will take their stuff, and that will be basically decommunization and break up with all Soviet legacies in Europe. Because without Soviet Union, Ukraine will never be independent country. If they want to break with the Soviet Union, well,
yeah,
so be it.
Zaporozhska Sech, or how that country used to be called.
Yeah. So that maybe
the thing is that I have an economic background, and I'm thinking of all the processes which happen. I don't think that even if SMO goals would be reached, and they will be reached in a while,
one or another way. Yeah.
I don't think that this conflict will stop, because there are too many too many controversial things, and like the new world which is rising, an old world which doesn't want to go backstage.
Yeah.
And they will, I think the combined West will try to do their best to cling on the leading position, even if they are losing it.
Yeah,
and
they're losing definitely. So it's irreversible process. So simply they're losing supremacy, and it is a matter of time when they will lose it completely. Militarily, yeah, they're talking about sizes of air force, fleets, or whatever. It is obsolete nowadays about that. Simply, it's obsolete because see what's going on in Ukraine. And Ukraine was the strongest. Ukraine, based on the fact that they inherited so strong Soviet air defense. I'm just talking about sample that based on the square kilometers. Ukraine was the strongest air defense. Ukraine had the strongest air defense in the world. After that was Russia, because Russia had a huge territory. And look what happened now. They're begging all over the world to get a few launchers, and they will get them. They will get them, but they will get them with conditions. West is going to feed them just enough to survive, to fight more, because the West can stop that right now, because Ukraine will collapse faster than Afghanistan. So the West will feed them, but the West is not powerful anymore to sustain that the hunger they can be that is ruling hunger for the equipment, for the weapons, for ammunition in Ukraine. Ukraine is turning into a black hole that's swallowing everything, and nothing is coming back.
Yeah.
And it will continue for the time being. So, usual business of money laundering, investment in, of course, giving few grains to Ukrainians so that they can say, oh, they have a help. Unfortunately, it's happening. I'm always saying, such a beautiful country, such a good people. They simply don't deserve to be treated on that way.
Yeah. But unfortunately that happened. But
Yeah, that happened. That's and history is repeating. There was always a nation which was treated in history like that. Buffer zone, so the punching bag, expendables,
yeah.
all them and anything with that, because everything is applicable.
And what's the most like painful in all of this, that people don't draw conclusions from other countries' experience. They say,
Yeah.
"Oh, that case is different. We are different. We will have like everything will be better
Stories,
for us."
just the stories. There is no eternal enemies, just eternal interests.
Yeah.
Eternal interest of Western coalitions are making Russia weak, making China weak, destroy those countries, partition those countries so that everything can serve the masters in the West. This is the eternal interest. I'm talking eternal. This is interest for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
Europeans slaughter each other through centuries, since medieval time or even earlier. But now their common goal is to have Russia weak, to destroy Russia. And even that interest is, they put that interest above interest of their individual countries. So no eternal enemies. So they were enemies for centuries, but they're not enemies anymore. So only eternal interests, and not the eternal interest of people, but the eternal interest of the ruling class.
Yeah.
Whoever they, royals, politicians, Democrats, dictators, doesn't really matter.
And
Interest is interest there.
Yeah, and what is also interesting, I started to review world history. I have bought an online course, so I'm just reviewing that what I learned at school, just to spend free time.
Mhm.
And there was interesting point of view about like civilizations. And when I started to review history of ancient world, it turned out that civilization was more to the east. Say Persians were more
Yeah.
civilized than Greeks.
Oh, absolutely.
We were always taught the like otherwise, that Greeks
Yeah,
were the cradle of civilization, and Persian
China,
was barbarians.
Persia. That was the cradle of civilization.
And it turned out that like Greeks, they lacked resources, therefore they attacked other countries, and they
Yeah.
had stronger military. So
Yeah.
the poorer country is, the more aggressive they are.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Talking about Western culture, I always have a sample. In medieval times, those European nobles, they didn't have forks, they didn't have spoons, they eat by hands. On the Serbian, in the Serbian nobility, on the fresks and icons from the medieval time, there's a pictures of forks and spoons. So so much about Western culture.
Yeah, and we were always like, back in the 80s, I still remember the 80s where, like, everywhere you could hear that, oh, West is civilized and we are not. But it turned like otherwise.
Yeah, when you come to for us on the east, West was excellent. But when you see how it looked like inside, it was different at the beginning. I see the changes. For instance, I travel a lot of U.S. And in Canada, on all of those Western countries. There is a change, and I unfortunately there is no change for good, but for worse. But it is what it is. We made our choice.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we will finish for today. Thanks for a very interesting discussion. I hope our viewers also found it interesting. And see you like the week after.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Okay.
Same day, same time.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.